These are the top questions that you can expect in an interview. The first question is explain the difference between a deployment and a stateful set. Very important question. Everybody should know it because people usually host their applications that they have developed using a deployment. So these are typically stateless applications where they can scale up, scale down, all that stuff. So everything of that sort is managed by deployments. And things like databases, things like Kafka, where you need persistent storage. These are the things that require persistent storage. These are the items that are categorized under the stateful set. So you really need to know the difference between these two, right? The second question is about crash loop backoff. Most important question, probably the second best question that you should expect. Reasons are quite obvious because this is the question. This is the issue that happens across all the production environments. So explain them what is crash loop backoff, which means that your pod is crashing for some reason. It's starting because of configuration issue or external dependency is failing, therefore it is crashing. It can be anything. So people would expect you to tell them answers related to the logs. How do you look at the logs? How do you describe the part and look at the events? Sort of things like that. And you might also have to explain any real time use case that you have gone through, preferably two or three. So that gives you an edge. Okay. And third question is related to etcd because it's widely considered as the central B sub Kubernetes cluster. So people might ask you what is etcd. You can expect questions around how will you manage the high availability of the cluster, high availability of etcd. How can you back it up? Are there any incidences that you have faced with etcd? How do you restore your etcd backup to fix the cluster issues that you have faced? So these are the sort of questions that you can expect in Kubernetes, questions related to Kubernetes specific to etcd, because this is a very important topic and it's very much relatable topic for people who are opting for a Kubernetes related job. What is an HPA? How are you configuring it, and how are you managing your scape? Stuff like that. Obviously, HPA is horizontal pod autoscaler, where you will use this to scale your stateless applications. Some people use it based on CPU usage. Some people use based on custom metrics coming from external sources. So you might have to explain this. Typically, this is always CPU related. If you say if your CPU is spiking beyond 70% down, memory is spiking beyond 70%, you can trigger HPA. Obviously, HPA comes in and then scales your pod from 10 pods to 15 pods or 20 pods. So you have to explain your current scenario, current use cases that you are going with. So obviously, you will have another question related to services. When you're talking about Kubernetes, we're talking about pods, and pods are ephemeral. So basically, any pod can go down at any point in time. So how do a pod from service A communicate to a pod in service B, right? Especially considering the fact that these IPs are dynamically changing. That is where services come into picture. You have 100 pods, 10 pods crashing every few minutes, and you get 10 new pods, new IPs are added, right? And this service connects to those IP addresses of the pods. So every time you get a request to this service, the request is sent to one of the pods, which is actually there. So services are also important. You should probably expect some questions in that area as well. Yeah, hope this is useful. Until next time, bye.